Hello, anyone who's out there who finds this recording later on. Um, Maybe I should have consulted a Ouija board to see if anyone would actually tune into the recording. I'm sure the spirits could have told me, yes, they will be there. No, nobody will be there. So it doesn't matter whether you're on time or not. But I'm on time. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ouija boards today, just because it's Halloween. And around Halloween, short filmmakers put films up on YouTube where you got silly girls playing with Ouija boards and summoning dark spirits as a result. Or sometimes it's hilarious spirits, but generally it's dark spirits and everybody comes to a bad end. That's been the trend in films and probably fiction as well, although I haven't come across any stories featuring Ouija boards personally, but I'm sure they're out there. Oh, look at that, being all sexy with my top button unbuttoned. We'll fix that because nobody needs to see that. Wow, I am a mess tonight. I'm a mess every night, but tonight apparently even more messy than usual. But as far as the Ouija board goes, I actually, until recently, just kind of assumed that it was 100% the creation of a toy company. In my mind, it was Parker Brothers, but I have discovered today, because I figured I'd do a little, break with precedent and do a little research, and found out that Hasbro owns the trademark on the Ouija board. I don't know whether they've acquired Parker Brothers, whether I was just wrong on that all these years. But yeah, Hasbro has the Ouija trademark. And I discovered that the whole concept of a kind of a spirit board that speaks to people by moving a planchette or some other item around on a board, that goes all the way back to the late 1800s, when a spiritualist slash, well, no, at first it was just spiritualists that came up with what they thought was a more efficient way to communicate with the spirits. And then a businessman by the name of Elijah Bond came up with a commercial version of the Ouija board, and he started marketing this. And it was initially, when he put it out, it was considered just a kind of an innocent parlor game. People could just get this and goof around. And then by the time the 20s rolled around, actually World War I, a spiritualist or two glommed onto it, and the spirit board returns to its root as a mystical device to communicate with the spirits. And then it began taking on a sinister connotation as religious persons said, hey, talking to the spirits is dangerous. Using them, you can end up, Catholics in particular, if you use the Ouija board, you can get possessed by demons. So don't do it. It's dangerous. I don't know. Personally, I'm in the camp of it's a parlor game, but it certainly is a fun thing to watch films about and to do game rules for. I'm sure if somebody in role-playing games out there. I haven't done many myself. For me, the Ouija board is just something fun to watch movies about when this time of year rolls around. There's a trio of Ouija board films over at Terror Titans you can watch. There's, I think, at least one more coming up. So if you're clicking on this down, if you are watching this down the road, down below, there's links to click. They're left or right. I'm never really sure. But the Ouija boards, and I just realized I am not on the screen. So if anyone is, if on the off chance that someone is trying to chat, which is highly unlikely. I'm not looking at him. All right, so now I'm back on the screen. And I can see what's going on. But it also, I also started to wonder, is the Ouija board still a thing? Has anybody actually, do people actually really use it in the real world? Ah, all right. So someone just, oh, something awry. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. I recognize someone in the chat other than Stan for once. He can do Wikipedia, and he looked up and informed me that Hasbro bought Parker Brothers. So I was right. Parker Brothers did originally do the Ouija board game. Well, the widely commercialized version. They probably acquired it from the guy that first started doing it. Oh, connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect. Oh, so that's what was going on. Once again, let's see if I'm totally offline. We shall find out in a moment here as I go to my other computer and look up. Click on the live stream. Well, I seem to be out still broadcasting. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Ouija board is real. Spirits are once again interfering with the transmission. They don't want me talking smack about them and their favorite way of entering our world through people putting their hands on a planchette and moving around on a board. Maybe it's Captain Howdy himself that's getting in the way of what's going on here. That's a reference to The Exorcist, the novel. Well, I haven't read the novel, but I'm assuming that the novel has the same demonic spirit that possesses Reagan and has to be excised from, by a couple of priests, one of which ends up jumping out a window. Yeah, I just ruined the movie. That actually is one of the few films that I have not been able to watch to the end. For whatever reason, when I first watched The Exorcist, it freaked me out so badly that I had to bow out. Well, little side story here. When I was a kid, we were the first people in our neighborhood to have a VCR. So what we would do, we would go to the store that had video rentals. We would rent a movie. We would provide popcorn and invite friends over. Well, invite all the kids over we knew, basically. Hey, you want to chip in X for this film, popcorn, a movie, and we can watch it here in the living room. And one day we rented The Exorcist, and we were watching it, and oh my God, did that just scare the living hell out of me. So I say, gosh, I just remembered that my paycheck is down at the newspaper office. I was a newspaper delivery boy at that time. I better go I need to go pick up my paycheck. You guys just watching the movie, have fun. Yeah, I'll be back. And one of my friends said, hey, do you mind if I go with you? He was just as freaked out by that film as I am. I have yet to go back and try to watch The Exorcist. If, maybe if I do, I'll go, what in the heck was wrong with me that day? I don't know. I mean, I know I tried watching The Exorcist 2 and I stopped about 3/4 of the way through, not because it scared me, but because it bored me and I just found it incredibly silly. So I don't know. Haven't gone back to watch it as an adult. Maybe I should. If anybody wants to warn me about it, or encourage me to do so, let me know, and I will certainly give it a shot. There was also recently, I guess recently as the mid 2010s, sort of a cinematic revival of the Ouija board on the big screen, or perhaps in home video. I'm not entirely sure. I was kind of aware of these films at the corner of my eye, but didn't watch either of them. Maybe there were three. There were at least two. There was one that was simply called Ouija. Um, People grab a Ouija board, play around with it, bad things happen. That's as far as I'm aware from looking at previews of it. And then there was a prequel, Ouija, The Evil Begins, or The Evil Awakens, or something along those lines. That I didn't research, which I probably should have, given that mostly we talk about films and such. However, I can quickly do that. Let's see. What was the sequel to Ouija called? Well, I guess it's a little harder to find than I thought it would be. Origin of Evil. Okay, it's Origin of Evil was the prequel of the. Excuse me. Now my nose is acting up again. Of course, it's the spirits. It's got to be the spirits. They don't want me. Like I said, they don't want me talking smack about them and their way into this world, I guess. Actually, Witchboard I didn't see, and that also had a Ouija board in it, I believe, and there were there were at least two sequels. I've seen those three, and that's all I can tell you. I can tell you that I've seen them, and I remember nothing beyond that. So they did much of an impression. I don't even think I bothered writing them up at Terror Titans or even movies you should die before you should die before you bother seeing, whatever that book and blog was called many years ago. Let me get back now that I finally managed to find that. So yeah. So I guess they are still a thing, or at least they were in the mid 2010s. And there's been at least two really good short films featuring Ouija boards that I've seen that have been made in the last couple of years. One, as I said, is on Terror Titans tonight, and the other one may show up later. I haven't decided yet. It might show up, in the off season, so to speak. Both of those by Alex Magana. He's one of my favorite, currently one of my favorite horror short filmmakers that you can find on YouTube. If you like short horror films, there's about a dozen of his works to look at on Terror Titans, and he has a YouTube channel which hopefully I've linked to on some of those posts. I should link at the bottom one of these days here as well. But another interesting use of the Ouija board was Max Fleischer featured it in one of his Out of the Inkwell cartoons. It's sort of the one that I tag as, not sort of, it is the one that I tag as the Coco the Clown origin story. It wasn't the first of the Out of the Inkwell films, but in my mind, it explains everything that happens in all the Out of the Inkwell stories. Basically, Fleischer is sitting there animating this cartoon clown while another animator and the janitor are playing around with a Ouija board. And he goes over there and says, "Oh, stop that crap. It's just nonsense. Don't believe it." And the next thing that happens is clown leaps off the page the page and into the real world and starts causing havoc. And from then on, we got Coco the Clown and Fleischer interacting. And it's a pretty impressive series, mixing real life footage and animated footage, and they're most of the time they're also very funny. There's a whole bunch of those to watch over at Shades of Grey. I've linked one down below. I encourage you to go check them out. But yes, the Ouija board in my Coco the Clown canon explains the origin, explains how it is that the animated universe and ours ended up being intermingled and colliding to the point where, in fact, the world is destroyed at actually 2 points in the series. The world goes to absolute, well, one, it's destroyed. The other one just goes to hell in a handbasket because Coco and the animated universe are seeping into ours. It's actually another kind of fertile ground for horror films. Fleischer didn't really do much horror with it. But there have been a number of horror films featuring animated universes that bleed into ours, and I probably should talk about that one of these evenings before Halloween arrives. Oh, and Angela is in the chat as well. Hey, Angela. And oh, she actually has a first-hand story about someone playing with a Ouija board, which actually I've never had. I will admit, I've never actually even set eyes on a Ouija board. I've always been half curious to see what the rules in the Hasbro game says. One day I may splurge and get one. I don't know. Highly unlikely, but my experience is just in films. Let's see. First-hand experience. A college friend. It told him that a friend had been killed in a car crash, and it turned out not to be true. Yeah, see, that'd be my assumption with 99.9% of the Ouija board experience, because it really is the people sitting there, whether consciously or not, that are shoving the board around. All joking aside, I'm not really a big believer in spirits and spirits having an impact on the real world. I write about it quite a bit in game material and in couple of scripts I've done, Ghosted, and some short fiction here and there. But if I have to be serious, no, I don't really believe it, despite the fact that I'm saying spirits are the ones sabotaging my. Now they're choking me as well. Of course. Excuse me a second here. Oh, that reminded me. This cup is a lot older than I thought. I have to talk about that someday too. But yeah, I think Ouija boards are fun, fictional. They're fun in their fictional sense of they open a gateway to the evil world. In reality, I guess they're fun if you have willing participants in a little parlor game. But just don't do it around Halloween, because maybe all the little horror short films are true. Maybe the horror films are true. Maybe you will come to a bad end. Maybe the 3 films over at Terror Titans are in fact cautionary tales, and you need to be really careful around Ouija boards. I'm not going to test it. I don't have one, number one, and number two, maybe I'm wrong, and I'd much rather have someone else test the theory than me test the theory. At this point, I'm just around. I hope, maybe, yeah. And I think on that note, I've said everything I have to say about Ouija boards. But I do want to remind everybody. Oh, darn it! I moved it because cats were getting in the way. Turning your back on the camera, that is the sign of an absolutely 100% professional broadcast, as is moving a prop that you're going to use and not being able to find it when you're live on the air. So without the prop, I will just say that we're less than 14 days away from Halloween, so maybe you should at least start thinking about the Halloween candy you're going to have on hand, just in case trick-or-treaters come to your door. Or in case I come to your door, then you really want to have candy on hand, because I'm a big guy and I need my candy to keep up that big guy status. I had a bag of candy I bought. I'm thinking that maybe tomorrow night I will open that bag of candy and I will taste test some of the candy. That might be dangerous. But dangerous as in I open the bag and maybe I will just keep eating it until I'm done, and then all I will have for the Halloweenies that show up, or Halloween trick-or-treaters that show up, will be the supply of candy corn that I did not get. I actually did not get in exchange for keeping the secret of the true origin of candy corn. It's just candy corn that I happen to have on hand, and that will be replenished whenever I make a request. It's just one of those things, one of those benefits you get for being a good guy. And lucky things, good things come to good people. And for me, the lucky thing was a lifetime supply of really tasty candy corn for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And on that note, I'm going to sign off. I will hopefully see. I'll be back tomorrow night, I hope. Spirits willing, internet willing, anything. Well, whatever. I never can sign these things off, so I'm just going to call it, and I'm going to push the button. So eventually, I'll figure out how to just make this thing shut down easily, rather than having to go through first pushing the one button, then pushing second button, and we are clear.